Welcome and thanks for tuning in once again. A major development has emerged in the cybercrime case involving activist, publisher, and African Action Congress presidential candidate Omoyele Sowore, as the Federal High Court in Abuja has restored the bail that was previously revoked, paying the waves for his release from custody once he satisfies the court's condition. The ruling comes after days of legal uncertainty that saw Sowore remanded at the Kuje Correctional Center following the revocation of his earlier bail by the trial judge. The latest decision marks a significant turning point in the high-profile case that has attracted widespread public attention both within and outside Nigeria. Justice Muhammad Umar, who presides over the case, ruled that Sowore should once again be admitted to bail. However, unlike the earlier bail granted on self-recognizance, the court imposed stricter conditions before he can regain his freedom. According to the court, Sowore must enter into a bail bond of 200 million naira. In addition, he is required to provide two sureties who must stand as guarantors in the same amount. The judge also directed the activist to surrender his international passports to the court, effectively preventing him from traveling outside the country while the trial continues. The latest ruling follows a series of dramatic legal developments over the past several weeks. Justice Umar had originally granted Sowore bail on self-recognizance. However, the bail was revoked after the activist failed to appear in court for the continuation of his trial. Although Sowore had written to the court explaining why he could not attend and requesting another hearing date, the judge was not persuaded by the explanation. As a result, the court revoked his bail, issued a warrant of his arrest, and subsequently ordered that he be remanded at the Kuje Correctional Center when proceedings resumed. The decision generated significant controversy and prompted a strong response from Sowore and his legal team. Initially, members of the legal team withdrew from the case, citing what they described as concern over judicial barriers. Following their withdrawal, Sowore engaged a new lawyer who quickly filed fresh applications asking the court to restore his bail and set aside the arrest warrant that has been issued against him. When the matter came before the court once again, Justice Umar indicated that he was prepared to restore the defendant's bail, provided that stricter conditions were attached to ensure his attendance throughout the trial. The activist had argued that previous orders made against him were unfair and inconsistent with his constitutional rights. His application relied on several provisions of the 1999 Constitution, including the section guaranteeing personal liberty and fair hearing, as well as relevant provisions of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act. At the center of the case are two cybercrime charges brought against Sowore by the Department of State Services, commonly known as the DSS. The charges relate to social media posts published by Sowore in August 2025 after President Bola Tinubu reportedly stated during a visit to Brazil that corruption had been eliminated in Nigeria. Reacting to those remarks, Sowore described President Tinubu as a criminal in posts published on his social media accounts. According to the DSS, the statement violated provisions of Nigeria's amended Cybercrimes Act. The security agencies alleged that the posts were capable of causing public disorder and damaging the reputation of the president. Court documents indicate that the DSS also contacted X, formerly known as Twitter, as well as Meta platform, requesting that Sowore's post must be removed and his account restricted. The agency also wrote directly to Sowore asking him to delete the publications. According to the prosecutors, his refusal to comply with those requests eventually resulted to the criminal charges now before the Federal High Court. Sowore has consistently denied committing any offense. When he was first arraigned before the court, he pleaded not guilty to both counts and insisted that his comments were protected under Nigeria's constitutional guarantee of freedom of expression. Throughout the proceedings, the case has continued to generate intense debates among legal experts, politicians, civil society organizations, and human rights advocates. Supporters of the activists argue that the prosecution raises important constitutional questions regarding free speech, criticism of public officials, and the limits of the Cybercrimes Act. On the other hand, government authorities maintain that no individual is above the law and that online publications capable of violating existing legislation must be subjected to judicial scrutiny. With today's ruling, attention now shifts to whether Sowore will be able to satisfy the court's bail condition quickly enough to secure his release from custody. Meanwhile, the substantive trial remains ongoing, and the Federal High Court will eventually determine whether the evidence presented to the prosecution is sufficient to establish offense alleged against him. Until then, Omoyole Sowore, like every criminal defendant under Nigerian law, continues to enjoy the constitutional presumption of innocence unless and until competent court finds him guilty. I am Chimezirim Okoro, and thanks for watching.